Welcome, boys and girls, to Break Room. Grab a drink, grab a snack, because last week we built this M18 Hellcat, so today let's apply an olive drab paint job to this tank. I started off with priming the model using Mr. Surfacer 1000, the grey primer. This one can be put through an airbrush using Mr. Leveling Thinner. For this, I think I used roughly about 2-3 parts leveling thinner and like one or two parts primer. Now this was the second time using this primer, so please cut me some slack if the primer looks a bit too wet. But in the end, it did turn out alright. I do, however, need to get my ratios correct. When priming your model, make sure you have at least made the surface area smooth. It may be a good idea to wash your model beforehand to get all the dust off the model, depending on how long it's actually sat on your workbench. Because if it sits on your workbench for too long, it could build up some grime and some dirt, and that needs to go before priming your model. It might be worth, whilst priming, to actually apply 2 coats of primer to make sure that you get all the areas covered before adding your base coat. Adding a second coat could also stop little bumps and stuff, or little dents and all that, so you get the perfect build-up of where your primer needs to sit. Now that the model is primed, I'm going to be applying a base coat. For this, I'm going to be using NATO Green, Dark Yellow, and Buff. Before spraying, I mixed the three paints together, a sort of random mix. I was sort of looking for a slightly lighter green, rather than just the standard NATO green, because olive drab is a bit of a weird kind of green. I started by painting the hull again, covering the whole hull in the sort of weird olive drab green I've made. I then went on to paint the turret the same colour. I do think, however, I need to invest in some sort of stand for painting my models. Because using my grubby hands when making or painting these models isn't exactly a good idea, is it sort of it could leave my handprint or like my fingerprint and stuff on the actual model. This may be a good idea in the future, but we shall see. Next, I'm going to be applying a bit of highlighting using NATO green and dark yellow. To make a highlight, I added a decent amount of NATO green to the dark yellow. Like I said, this will give a highlight to the tank. I'm going to apply this to the underside of the turret ring and then just lightly cover certain parts of the model to give sort of like a little pop of the paint so that the green doesn't look very normal all over the entire model. Now it's time for more highlighting. So for this one I'll be using hull red and black. With this highlighting I'll be using this mainly on door areas like little hatches and stuff like that, or where there would be like weld marks and stuff and where little oil spills would be sort of built up. So when applying this could actually bring out more of a highlight to your model. This could make your actual areas where welds would be and the actual main base coat of the tank sort of pop a little bit more. Finally, I'll be adding more dark yellow to NATO green as my final coat. This will make the tank have more variety with a darker green and then a slightly more lighter green. Doing so will give sort of like a two-tone look with your greens, and then with the mixture of the sort of dark yellow as well as the hull red and black highlight mix, you'll get this sort of look of the entire model being sort of ready for weathering. And with that, guys and girls, is the end of this episode. I think the tank turned out pretty alright here. So next week, I'll be weathering the tank, so if you guys want to see that, then please feel free to subscribe. It's completely free. And if you like this episode, then please do feel free to leave a like. It helps me out a lot with these episodes. And with that, I want to say thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys next week.